Hi, I'm Matt from hockeyreviews.ca, and today we are reviewing this little doohickey on this stick, which is called the Paddle Wedge. Now, Paddle Wedge sent me this to do a review on. They wanted me to make some content and talk about it and just check it out. So this is what this is, so huge thanks for them for that. But before we begin a review, if you're in the United States and you're shopping for hockey equipment, check out the link in the description to Pure Hockey. Clicking that link, making a purchase gives me a kickback, helps support the channel so I can make more content and do more reviews. Otherwise, if you're in Canada, check out the link to Hockey Supremacy. Clicking that link, making a purchase gives me a kickback as well. Again, to help support the channel so I can make more content and doing more reviews. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, check out Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee. Everything goes through there, right back in the channel, and helps me making more content. This obviously is not how it comes. It's this little wedge that comes on a piece of paper, which we'll look at in a second. And it is to protect your index finger from pucks and everything like that. But before we really talk about that, I'll show you how it kind of goes on and off. It's pretty straightforward. Now you can do it both ways, this way or the other way where it's an actual wedge. This one just is straight up and down. And it's easier to do when sticks don't have grip, like this foam core one that I've been using. And you just honestly pull it on and off. Now it is a pain, an absolute pain to get this thing off when or on a stick that has grip. Now, luckily for me, my Hyperlite, I always sand off the grip on a lot of my sticks, which I did on the Hyperlite. And this one, it's a wood stick, so it didn't have grip anyways. So I kind of got lucky for there. And even then, I'm having some troubles getting on this knob. So give me 1 second. There we go. But it is a pain, and they do give you a little trick to how to make it a little bit better, but it's still hard to do. And unlike when you do a tacky mac or a butt end, you can't twist this down, obviously, because of the shape. It has to just slide down, so it's a little bit more harder to. But this is what it is. It's very straightforward. It's a 3D printed piece of material, as you can see here. So these come in this really awesome little cardboard packaging, little paper packaging, which I love just because it's like you don't need all the plastic wrap and stuff like that. And this is recyclable, and it's using recycled materials, which is just a nice thing. Hockey really is kind of a consumable sport, unfortunately. So stuff like this, it's just a nice little difference. This thing is made in Denmark, and so it's kind of a nice thing too. Denmark is a phenomenal country. I've been there before and I love it, and here's a pretty awesome product from Denmark itself. And this is a really simple thing. And I want to mention that when they reached out to me, I was a little bit skeptical about this, just because I always saw a couple of products like these, and a bunch of the accounts always like kind of shilling them and be like, oh, buy this, buy this. And I saw a bunch of goalies like using them for practice and stuff. I was always had the thought of, if you buy a blocker with good index finger protection like this, you don't need one of these. And I have a blocker with good index finger protection, but I have a bunch of blockers here that don't have good index finger protection, and I'm going to show that off in a second. So this is a great idea, but this kind of brings it all to the next level, and doesn't cost like $500 to buy a new one to actually get that index finger protection. On this little thing too, it does have their website, which tells you how, that does tell you how to put it on and kind of shows you a bunch of tests for it. So they also did a really awesome durability test for this, where they put 2 hooks on this and had a goalie use all his weight and pull down on this, hanging from just the paddle wedge itself, and it held on and it didn't break apart. So it was pretty awesome in that sense. They stand behind their product, and from the test, it looks like it does a really good job holding up. I have no issues with the ones I've used so far. Everything has been perfect. Obviously, to get it on, you literally just kind of pop it open a little bit like this. It says to use soap, but this doesn't have any grip at all, so it's super easy to get on because there is no grip and it's just wood. And you just slide it in and you put it down, and then you basically have to keep pushing it down until you find the right spot for your blocker. And I had to do this with all of my blockers, where I put it on and then see to make sure that doesn't actually interfere with anything, because a couple times with a couple blockers like the Bauer 2-piece Hyperlite, this piece kind of got in the way, so I had to shove this down more and more. That way you get that protection without actually getting in the way of the blocker. Now, the reason why this thing is important, and we'll switch over to my Hyperlite to show this off, because it's been extremely used, and you can see all the puck marks there. Now, not every one of those puck marks is going to go into my index finger and actually hit in here, but it's a chance of it actually happening. And as good as some of these blockers are, like this index finger protection is decent, there is still a gap. And then the only basically piece of padding between your finger and the puck is this little piece of foam. And again, this is a pretty decent design, and this Michelin glove is pretty solid, and this index finger is pretty good. But a puck hitting that at like 60 miles an hour is still going to hurt. And if it's faster, it can break. This was created because a Danish goalie who designed this broke his finger and found a way to save his finger. So pretty awesome idea, and it works. And while I'm one of the only people I found online who really talk about index finger protection and really call it out on companies that don't do a good job of it, like this Optic 2 isn't a great one. You can see the massive gap. Paddle Wedge solves all those issues right away without actually having to buy a new blocker that actually has a good one on it, like a Bauer. And even this does have protection on there and on that little gusset right there. But that is obviously, a puck can easily fit under that, as you can see. So if you're taking a shot and it ramps up your stick, it can go in there. Or if you're doing paddle down, which is another great chance of when this can happen, puck slides in, it's going to hit the wedge instead of getting jammed in your fingers, and is a great little piece of protection there to really save your fingers. And if you bulk up here, it's just going to fix for one blocker. Next blocker, you're going to need a new one. For this, obviously you can transfer it to a new stick and everything, and it works for every blocker you use. And because it is actually away from the blocker itself, you just remove that impact altogether, so you will never feel that impact on the first place. Obviously you can see the puck marks on this. I use it. It gets hit a ton. The very first time I put this on, it hit there and was one of the first 5 shots. And I was like, hey, it worked. Look at that. And I was really surprised at it. And that kind of sold me on it right away. Like, I know pucks get jammed there. You always see pucks marks right here and everything. But it definitely comes in handy, and it came in handy so fast. It was very impressive. And I want to show off really how great of a job this does from actually blocking pucks. And I'm not going to actually show like me shooting pucks on it because it doesn't really matter. Optic 2 has layers of index finger protection, but a hard shot puck is going to go through there. This isn't that hard either, so it's going to push that through, and it's going to jam your fingers, and that's going to hurt. Micklin glove is decent. It does a decent job, but even then, it can still get in there because the puck's going to shoot a lot harder than that, and that impact can still transfer in there too. So this one, another one that benefits from the paddle wedge. And I know how many beer leaguers absolutely love Warrior blockers, and this is probably the best accessory you can possibly buy for Warrior blockers, because honestly, I've used a Warrior blocker and that's pathetic. And even if you try to like turn your hand on it, it works, but your hand's never actually like that, and it actually sits always like this, and pucks are going to get under there, and this isn't enough, and there's not enough padding right there at all, and this needs to be kind of, in my opinion, a different design. I've kind of harped on this a bit, and puck will slide right under there really easy. So again, huge work on Warrior gloves. I know how popular Warrior gloves are with beer leaguers. So something like this comes in handy, and it's relatively cheap to protect your fingers. And here's a Bauer glove and 2-piece I talked about, where it has this piece, but it has that one, and that is going to be the only piece that's going to protect your finger. And you can see the foam and how thin it is. Impacts are going to go right through that. You need multiple layers. That will hit there, and that is going to hurt your fingers. So another good example of a blocker that definitely works with this, and that would be beneficial. And the goalie who made this is a guy who, in the videos they show on their website, uses a 2X blocker, or at least someone he knows uses a 2X blocker. And 2X does have a little bit of a gap of index finger protection, and this is again, paddle wedge is perfect for that. Another example, this is one of the best blockers in the business for index finger protection besides the Lefebvre ones. This one is pretty good though, because it does have 2 entire layers that's really going to block your index finger. So this one, as you can see, you can still hit that layer, but you're generally getting more stoppage and like protection from there. But again, you can just mitigate this and remove this altogether. If this gets stuck, you can unvelcro this and just go with the paddle wedge, because the paddle wedge covers it all and does the best job of protection. And it's so straightforward, like perfect. It doesn't get in the way at all. It's just going to stop pucks from hitting there, and it's just going to perfectly do its job. So you can use it 2 ways, either like the normal wedge itself, or backwards like this, where puck just hits straight on. Now I have been using this in this direction, but I haven't really noticed anything that happens with the pucks going on. I just don't think I've been lucky enough. I do rotate this stick basically with the hyperlight, so I just haven't hit that yet. But again, it's going to block that all the time, so you get more index finger protection, and it's super simple and straightforward. Now, this thing itself sells for $40 Canadian, cheaper if you're in the US. And now people might be, it's steep for a little 3D printed design. Look, it's going to be usable on multiple sticks over and over again. It's going to last longer than your sticks. It's probably going to last a lifetime of your gloves, probably longer than your lifetime of your gloves. I'm going to say that actually. This thing is going to last forever. And even if like this happened to break somehow, you could just tape over it and it would be easier to put on. So, but still, we'll ignore that. For $40, like honestly, instant recommend. I'm going to do a new thing whenever I review blockers from now on, if you basically need a paddle wedge with it or if it's good enough by itself. But again, I'd still recommend getting the paddle wedge because why not just add that extra layer? It's also like there's no balance issues at all or anything with it. It's light enough and it's so close to your hand that it doesn't change the balance of the stick or anything. You don't notice the extra weight. The other thing too is if anyone says these things are too expensive at $40, which might be an argument someone comes up with, butt ends are $30, and I've seen so many goalies put these things on for like you're gonna hold the butt end of your stick for like 10 seconds in a game at max. You hold this the whole time. You take pucks off this all the time. This is worth it. Get it. This is the easiest recommended product I've used in a long time because it works with like every blocker. It works with every stick. It's just slightly a pain to get on sticks with grips, but it's good. It saves your fingers. I broke this finger playing hockey, not from goalie, and it was a massive pain. And it took me like 4 months to get back to actually be able to hold stick and close the glove and everything. Do this and you save your fingers. Simple, straightforward, great solution. The only thing I'm going to say to complain about this product, and I've already kind of touched upon it, is just how hard and annoying it is to get on and off. Like this, I shaved off the grip and it barely moves, which I mean is a good thing that it's not moving and playing stuff, but it's so hard to get on. And you can definitely see like I've been cranking this thing to move it, and it's kind of, as you can see right there, I'm not worried this is going to split or anything, especially with their video of them holding it up. So that's going to stay fine in spot and everything. This isn't really like I'm going to be able to do this over and over and over again. But I wish there was some way of an easier way to get this thing on. There just isn't. Now you could like make this a mechanism that attaches, but then that attachment piece can break, so it would be a fail point. This is probably the most durable and easiest way to get it actually on a stick and to do anything with it at all. So my complaints are honestly just like an ease of use complaint, and that's it. And in that sense, it's super minimal and it's nitpicking beyond belief. I'm obviously going to recommend this. I'm going to use it on every stick that I have. I'm probably going to buy another one because I basically have to rotate 3 sticks a lot. And when I test out sticks, I don't want to pull it off and put it back on every game. So I'm a huge fan of these. Go check them out. Simple purchase, $40. This is almost Christmas time when this is coming out. Easy stocking stuffer. And like it's a great addition to all sticks. And just save your fingers. Super easily save your fingers. Go for it. Huge thanks to Paddle Wedge for sending me this. I greatly appreciate it. They really swayed me in the sense of I thought it was kind of useless just buy a good blocker, but I have so many blockers that I use that don't have good index finger protection. This one just covers it all and I don't have to worry about it anymore. So it's awesome in that sense. Go check out their website and you can see this in action with pucks like hitting it. I was going to film something on it with a puck machine, but it's been shown so many times that I don't think it's really worth it. And it's pretty straightforward. It's just puck comes in, puck hits it, bounces off, and doesn't jam your finger. That's the gist of it. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully it was helpful. Again, go get this. It's super awesome. It's super useful. Go get it. Check it out in the link in the description. I think it's available at Pure Goalie, so that link will be through there. If you buy it through that link, I get a kickback. So it helps me out too, and it'd be greatly appreciated. If you buy any hockey equipment, check out the links in the description to Pure Hockey if you're in the US and Hockey Supremacy if you're in Canada. Clicking those links and making a purchase gives me a kickback so I can buy more gear and do real tests. This Michelin set and this review wouldn't have happened if I didn't just buy it myself, because I don't get stuff for this for free. And again, that is all possible because people help support the channel through those ways as well. If you want to support the channel without making a hockey purchase, check out Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee. Everything there comes right back into the channel and it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for watching and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.